Welcome back to Origami Snowman. I'm on a bus. I'm waiting. I picked up a little bit of an extra route, and I'm waiting for that to start here in a few minutes. And so I thought I'd play some desert golf until it's time for me to go. It is, yeah, you know how it gets on the bus. I got all my heaters going. It's pretty cold today, and my bus is in high idle, so like lots of extra noise. Also, somebody at any minute could just yell at me over the radio. So let's be all prepared for that. Nobody freak out, please. Thank you. Anyway, so my last video that so many people watched, I talked about Loki. I'm ready to move on past Loki. But I do want to talk about Brandon Sanderson because he's my favorite writer right now. And I'm really getting into the Stormlight Archive. That's what it's called. It's a very girthy fantasy series. I don't think I should have used that word. So I'm fine. Yeah, still sick. So, Brando Sando, he just churns out the novels, and they're good. I've read a lot of Brandy Sandy in the last year, and I haven't read any that I didn't like. I've read the original Mistborn trilogy. That was really good. He wrote a little companion piece that went along with it, called Lost History. That was really interesting. There's like a novella he wrote called The Emperor's Soul. I thought that was really cool. The Frugal Wizard's Guide to Surviving Medieval England. That was a very interesting take. That's one of his so-called secret projects. He apparently does those a lot, and people get very excited about him. I'm fine. The second era of the Mistborn series, known as the Wax and Wane series. I think I've read 2 of those. There's 2 more of that, and then he's about to start, I think, the third era of Mistborn, which, like, I'm real excited about that. That just the few things I've heard about it sound really promising, and yeah, and then of course, you know, Stormlight Archive is just, man, the first book, bonks. Yeah, there we go. The first book was 1,200 pages. I'm on the second book, and it's 1,300 pages. And there are, I think, like, supposed to be a total of 5 books in this series. And then there's a bunch of other books, like so many other books that I haven't even gotten close to yet. So, yeah, he's a prolific writer, and I haven't read anything by him that I didn't enjoy immensely. So, yeah, if you've never read Brandon Sanderson, give it a shot. First time I ever saw anything about Brandon Sanderson, or at least to my knowledge, the first time it got my attention, was a targeted ad on Instagram, because I love playing cards as objects of art, you know, you got this whole deck of cards, you know, you got 52 face cards. Well, not face cards exactly, but you got 52 cards. It's 52 opportunities for a little bit of artwork, right? And then if you throw the jokers in there, it's like some extra bonus art. And there are some really beautiful decks. So I sort of started to collect them, and it drives my wife a little bit bonkers. But anyway, so this targeted ad I got was for a Mistborn themed deck of playing cards. I didn't know what Mistborn was, and I ignored it the first time I saw it, and the second time, and the third time. And then finally I was like, well, what is this? Like, what is it exactly? Let's take a look. So I started to scroll through, and I was like, well, I don't know who any of these people are, or why, I'm confused. And so I did a little digging and found out that Mistborn was a novel. In fact, it was a series, and it was really well loved by the people who love it, well, as things are. And, and I asked a friend of mine if he'd ever heard of Mistborn, and he said, yes, I have. It's very good. And I thought, okay, well, that'll do it. So I ordered the trilogy on Amazon, and wow, blew me away. So I'm fine. I'm fine. Um, so it's kind of funny how I stumbled across Brandon Sanderson. You know, considering I read a lot, I do. I read a lot, and I somehow never heard of this guy. And then I heard about him because of playing cards. So that's fun. So yeah, Brandon Sanderson. He's a little tropey, you know, but like we need to remind ourselves that tropes are tropes because they're good, because they're exciting, because you know we like to see the downtrodden receive power and then do well with it. You know, like we like seeing these things, and that's why they keep ending up in stories. You know, but here's the thing: his tropes never feel like tropes. I'll be honest. In Stormlight, there was a character through the entire first book. I was like, okay, immediately I was like, well, he's going to die, and these other two characters are gonna have to like climb to the top of the mountain, so to speak, and like make do, you know, with what little power he leaves behind, and they're gonna have to find some way to maintain control. And you know, now you've seen it in stories, you've seen it in movies. It's just a pretty typical. Oh my goodness, pretty typical thing. Yeah, he didn't die. I was wrong. You know, it didn't go at all the way I anticipated. So while some of the characters are tropes, the situations are absolutely not. Now, do I fully expect this character to die within maybe the first 3 books? Yeah, I do. But, you know, who knows? I don't know. I'm only in book 2, so we'll see. Magic is always very prevalent in his books, but, like, not, you know, like Hocus Pocus Harry Potter spells, but, like, you know, like divine magic, you know, power bestowed upon an individual seemingly at random, you know, and that's always fun because they're always the training montage scenes, and somehow they're never boring, you know, like they're never like, okay, yes, I get it, the superhero has to learn to use his abilities, okay, Batman, figure it out, okay, Spider-Man, yep, you've got muscles now, yep, you can shoot webs, you know, it's not like that, it's I don't know. Somehow he always manages to put a unique twist on it. Now, not everybody is a fan, and that's fine. Not everyone should be a fan. I'm a big believer that not everything is for everyone, but everyone should have something, right? And I just so happen to be in that very, oh my gosh, that very privileged, you know, what do you call it? Demographic, thank you. That very privileged demographic where we do tend to get an awful lot of things made for us, you know? So, I get Star Wars, and I get Marvel, and I get Harry Potter, and I get Lord of the Rings, and I get Brando Sando. So, lucky Matt. Sorry, I'm fine. Everything's great. Everything's wonderful. Up we go and into the thing, and, yeah. Let's see if I can wrap up these 50 before I have to go. It is, you know, it's 11:52 in the morning, and this midday route, I need to be at a high school. That's about a 10-minute drive, and I got to pick that kid up at 12:15. So I got to keep that in mind. I got to keep one eye on the clock. I used to be a really ardent Stephen King fan. I loved the Dark Tower series. I highly recommend it if you're, you know, of a more mature mindset, because there's a lot of, you know, a lot of grown-up type scenarios that I maybe wouldn't recommend to teenagers, but you know, you've got a library card. You can make your own decisions. Just don't tell your parents I told you to do it. So the Dark Tower series, I loved that. What I loved, one of the things that I loved was how he sort of stitched all of his books into the same, like, cloth. The Dark Tower, you know, overlaps with The Stand and with Salem's Lot, and with so many other books, Insomnia, Eye of the Dragon. There's just, he's just really, really good at taking the work he's already done and making it relevant to the work he is currently doing. So I really liked how that worked. It felt like, I put in all this work and I met all these characters and I got to know them and I felt so familiar with them. Now all that information and all that emotion, it doesn't lead anywhere, but now here this character is back in this book that has nothing to do with him, and it's just like a happy little fun surprise. And a lot of times it leads you to a book that you didn't know you wanted to read. So the Dark Tower series is, I think, one of the great fantasy series ever written, and I think people forget to mention it because people don't think of Stephen King as a fantasy writer. But really what horror is fantasy with an upper hand. And that's, that's what it is. There are no heroes, no atypical, sword swinging heroes in a horror story. It's always the underhand is the one that comes out on top. It's the Sam Gamgees who are alone and afraid and have to save the day. But Stephen King, he's so much more than a horror writer, because his focus isn't on the terror, it's not on the dread, it's on the characters. He tells you so much information that you don't need to know. It's not relevant to the story, but it connects you so much to the character that you feel it more than you would otherwise. So definitely Stephen King. If you've never read some Stephen King, check out the Dark Tower series. The Gunslinger, the first book, is you'll know a lot about Stephen King in that book, how he writes and what he considers sacred. Not a lot does he hold sacred. He will kill a character without hesitation, and you will not like him. You'll not like Stephen King. You will not like the main character. But this is gonna end poorly. I'm about to. Yep, I'm going right. Oh my, no, flip. Okay, this is gonna be a while. All right, let's a little concentration. That's all I need. I just need to get out of this hole. Okay, I'm fine. Oh my goodness. Yeah, my stepfather used to read a lot of Stephen King when he was younger. And then when Stephen King wrote Carrie was his first book. Christine, it's the one about the car that gets jealous. Hey, there we go. Now to bounce back over the Come on! My stepdad said he gave up. He gave up on Stephen King when he wrote about the jealous car. So, and when you put it like that, yeah, it sounds a little silly. But Stephen King, he's better at describing his books than you are, because you'll be reading this book and every single thing makes sense and it's plausible and it's reasonable until you try to explain it to somebody, and then you realize that you sound like a crazy person. It's true. It's true. Yeah, that's how I was introduced to Stephen King. I'd read like The Shining, and I had read Cujo when I was maybe 19 or so, because my brother had those books and left them behind when he moved out, and so I found them and I gave them a shot, and they were fine. I enjoyed them and all that. But it wasn't until I was married and had read Insomnia and tried to describe the book Insomnia to someone that I realized this guy is a very good writer, because it wasn't until I tried to explain it to someone that I realized how implausible the book was, but I believed every word of it. I was so attached to it, and that to me is a mark of a good writer. He takes a completely wackadoo concept, and he removes the whack and he removes the do, and you are along for the ride because you didn't know the car was being piloted by a maniac. It's great. It's great. So Stephen King, definitely check out Stephen King. And definitely check out Brandon Sanderson if you've never. Okay, now let's see. I got to try to... We're running out of time here. Oh, nope. I'm not going to hit 50 before I get... Certainly not going to hit it that way. Not going to hit 50 before I have to go. We'll talk about more books later. I would love to talk about Roald Dahl. He's a children's writer primarily, but you definitely, if you've never read Roald Dahl, we'll talk about some of his books that are just absolutely amazing. So close. We almost made it. We were 4 short, I think, 4 shy of 80 or 50. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry for all the extra noise. I'm sure you probably thought it was a great break. You didn't have to just listen to me. But anyway, that is all. And I will talk to you in the next one. Love you. Thanks so much. Bye.